Padres Hot Tub brought to you by Estate Leak Detection and Plumbing. 619-300-7203. Save that number. Put it in your phone. It's the number to get Wally on the line when something goes wrong in your home. Estate Leak Detection and Plumbing, a proud sponsor of Padres Hot Tub all season long. And Chris, you need someone local. You need someone dependable when something goes wrong at the house.
All you need is the number, because when it happens, you're going to be panicking. It's going to be smelly. You're going to be worried about your assets. You're going to be worried about how to get water out of your house, or if you're going to have water the next few days. Don't put yourself through it. Just call Wally if you live in the San Diego area. He'll get in touch with you, fix your problem. And if you have a project that needs pipes, that needs water, that needs fluid, Wally is also your guy.
Estate Leak Detection and Plumbing, proud sponsor of Padres Hot Tub. If you support this show and you need something going on at your house or your business, give them a call. 619-300-7203. Welcome to the Padres Hot Tub, everybody. Craig Elston, Rafi Cantor, and a man in a human skin mask, otherwise known as Chris Reed.
We are here with you. I am the anonymous Padre fan. Nobody knows who I am. I root for the Padres, though, for some reason.
You're a madman, clearly. First sign of lunacy, first sign of being a horror movie villain is that you're a diehard Padres fan. It's dark times at the corner of Gwynn and Hoffman, folks. The Padres have decided to spit the bit. The Padres have decided to give up on the season and are in the process of their end-of-season collapse. We are going to have a special guest a little bit later in the show. We are very excited to be joined by a very, very funny man, Dallas McLaughlin from the Kept Faith podcast, local comedian. His new comedy album, I Didn't Start the Fire and Other Lies, is available on Apple Podcasts, on Bandcamp, and several other audio platforms. He'll be along a little bit later in the show. We've got a lot of just really nasty ground to cover in between here and there. First, a couple of notes of housekeeping. We thank you for your support of Padres Hot Tub. There's a new Pods Above replacement video that's out. Rafi Cantor and John Prokota on Sunday went through the Padres preseason Zips projections for the hitters and how their performance has matched or not matched their projections. You can check all of that out. Some great insights and great analysis on the latest Pods Above replacement episode. That's available as both an audio podcast, but even better as a video. The Padres Hot Tub YouTube channel is just growing and growing. We have added over the course of the last few days some Reed caps, some Chris Reed, very funny, excellent game recap videos. I have also popped up here in the office with a couple of pithy commentaries one way or another. So please subscribe to our YouTube channel, like our videos, help us out as we grow the channel. It's been happening. It's been growing. Also, we have a couple of other podcasts along the way. Immaculate Talk is now entering its 5th week. The latest Padres Hot Tub project with myself and Joe Sheehan, Monday through Friday, going through the Immaculate Grid of that day. We've had over 6,000 downloads for the month, for our first month so far. So really excited about the show. So if you're a baseball fan and you haven't checked out Immaculate Grid, I'd say check out Immaculate Grid. If you play Immaculate Grid, please check out Immaculate Talk. I think you'll find it's a fun, quick show, usually a 20 to 25 minute show that, for the 20 minutes you play the grid, then you do 20 minutes, you listen to the show. It's a lot of fun. Last housekeeping note, the best way to support this show is to join our Patreon, patreon.com/Padres Hot Tub. We have had over a dozen new subscribers since the trade deadline. We appreciate everyone. Hang with us through these dark times. It is great to have a community that can support one another when the team is not supporting them. And we do that. Patreon.com/Padres Hot Tub. The Discord has been a place that exists in the virtual universe the last 96 hours or so. Okay. Housekeeping done, boys. Any other housekeeping points? Any old business? Any new business before we move on to the business at hand?
I'll just say as a quick pitch for the Patreon Discord. Before I was on the show, I was but a patron member, and I remember my first full year in the Patreon was 2021, and the only way I really was able to like weather that collapse towards the end of the year was to be in the Discord and like commiserating with people. So I Craig, you've talked about kind of the as the team's fortunes go, so we go. And so I would just say that like in these tough times, it's a great place to just kind of come and commiserate. So because this is hard. This is hard and something new, even different than 2021 that we're all experiencing now. So come and find some community.
Yeah, the community comes because we are all there, presumably because we support the Padres. We're all there, presumably because we are fans of this team. We want to see them succeed. We want to see them win. And if it's not going to happen this year, we want to see it happen next year. We want to see it happen for years to come. And I truly believe that almost everybody in that Discord shares those sentiments, and that's where the conversation grows. It's in that soil. That's where the sprouts of the conversation grow. So patreon.com/Padres Hot Tub. We thank every single person who supports this community. Guys, 2023 Padres Hot Tub, or Padres season, 2023 Padres Hot Tub. Love it. Should listen to every episode, like, subscribe. 2023 Padres season. Not going to be recommended on the crossing streams. Not going to make the top 25 this year. Frankly, I think it's a shit watch. It's really been it's been a bummer. It's been a bummer watch. And I would suggest people don't watch. By the way, baseball's stupid. You shouldn't watch. You don't need to have watched any of the Padres season to understand the 2023 Padres. All you had to do was watch last weekend in Arizona. Last weekend in Arizona was the Padres season. I did a YouTube short about this. You can watch on the channel. But that's the season. Friday, go ahead 8-1. Win 10-5. A game that shows that you can score a lot of runs and that you still have a couple of issues along the way. But a comfortable win. A 5-run win. A dominant opening win that makes you feel that everything is possible. And then follow it with a shutout. Immediately, a shutout. You got to get shut out the next game. It's not enough to lose the next game. You got to get shut out. That's how a Padres season 2023 bakes in the oven. Got to be shut out. Got to be a low-scoring game like 3-0, where any type of mediocre offensive effort would have been enough to win the game, where 4 runs would have won the game. 3-0 loss. Absolutely perfect. But Sunday, it's not a Padres season unless you take a 3-0 lead in the first inning and then do nothing. Sit on it like a mother hen. Watch it go to 3-1. Watch it go to 3-2. Oh, build it up to 4-2. Then watch it all go away and lose by specifically 1 run with Josh Hader never appearing in the game. And guess what? You go 1-2, and by Pythagorean, you outscore the opponent 14-13. So according to all the outside baseball interests, you actually won the series 2-1. It's the perfect encapsulation of what makes this an unlikable, unwatchable slog of a team.
Yeah, it really shows that the outlier is that data, that they score more runs and that the players have, achieved a lot of wins above replacement. It kind of shows that that's the anomaly. You know, it hasn't been the performance of the team that's been consistent all year. Disappointing, frustrating, not good baseball, not clutch hitting. And so like I feel like the lesson there is maybe let's not talk about Pythagoras anymore.
Yeah. Go after the Padres won 10-5 on Friday night. Our playoff odds were 34.8%, which are not great, like in the grand scheme of things. But when you consider the way things have been going, that's a decent shot. So it's better than a 1 in 3 chance. Things that happen with 1 in 3 chances happen all the time. And since that, Fangraphs actually just updated after we're recording this just after the Padres lost to the Orioles on Monday night. And our playoff odds are down to 16.9%. So that means what is that? A 18,
Half.
19 point swing. So that each of those losses was worth, a little more than 6% in our playoff odds, averaged out, tanking down. So, any sort of, I know we're going to get to the That's Baseball comments, BASEBALL later in the show. But there are other more specific things about this season that I think will go back and be an interesting case study. But it's seeming increasingly more and more that the mental side of things hasn't and isn't and won't be there for the Padres in 2023.
Won't be there is the most important thing to say. The Padres spent a lot of money. The owner committed a lot of resources. The general manager committed a lot of resources. Superstars flooded the locker room. Padres season tickets sold out. The team created a waiting list. This is the most anticipated season in Padres history. We called it the most consequential season in Padres history. Well, we're going to find out about that. We're going to find out. Turns out it might not be consequential at all.
I want to push a little bit on that, Craig, because I thought about this week. Padres, what percentile of a season do we have this year? 1%? We all said worst case was going to be better than this.
Yeah.
1%, 2%, 3%. Well, if Manny Machado and Xander Bogaerts are starting their contracts out on this level, are we optimistic that they're going to improve? Not necessarily that they're aging, because I still feel the same way I did a year ago, but walking into their deals, having this result under be the baseline that's consequence. If it affects their performance going forward, you might be correct in the way you didn't intend, Craig, but it very well could be. If this has crushed them mentally in a way that they don't recover from, you might be worrisomely prophetic.
The Padres are 2-8 since they decided to buy at the trade deadline. And look, I'm not going to be a complete fucking hypocrite on this show. At the moment of the deadline, with a chance to make the playoffs around 30% and multiple teams cratering, multiple teams falling toward you, free falling toward you, the idea of improving on the margins without selling anyone of significance, it made sense. With the further context of a club that was on a 25-game sellout streak and had the attention of the market in a way that it's never had in the history of the franchise dating back to 1969, it further made sense to try and win this season. I'm never going to get mad I want to say this as explicitly as possible. Make sure I'm looking in the camera. I'll never get mad at the Padres for trying to win. I'm never going to get mad at the Padres for trying to do something successful. It's easy to never try. Pittsburgh and Kansas City never try. Like Kansas City tripped their way into something along the way. Colorado never tries. There are plenty of franchises in baseball that never try and never make it and sell their fans on the diseased notion of they're doing it the right way and they're doing it better. So I'm never going to get mad at the Padres for trying. I will get mad at the players for not trying. I will get mad at a franchise that can't get out of its own way. I'll get mad at a franchise for giving up. And the Padres have given up. The Padres have absolutely given up on this season. This season's over. Side note. If anyone...
Spoiler alert?
No, side note, sidebar. If anyone is still holding on to Craig's Doctor Strange one chance to make the playoffs, the reverse 2010, then you need this speech that's coming up, okay? Because in 2010, I had the podcast and I wrote the column where I said I was wrong. I give up. Padres are good. The Padres are going to the playoffs. Padres are going to win the West. Padres are going to kick ass. And this is the opposite, okay? I give up. I give up. This Padre team is going to win 74 games. 74, 75 games. They're going to finish double digits under 500. They're going to collapse. They're going to collapse because they don't want to win. They don't want to win. This team doesn't have what it takes to win. They have no plan. They are at war with themselves. This is an organization fighting itself. There's dysfunction between the front office and the manager's office. That's clear. That's crystal clear. There's dysfunction within the clubhouse. We talked about it on group therapy. Something's wrong with this team. Fernando Tatis Jr. did a pregame presser today. Pregame scrum in the locker room. Marty Caswell, Sam Levitt, recorded it, put it up. It got fed into our Discord, and I listened to Tatis, and I literally responded it. Did you guys see? I don't know. I responded to it saying, you should run to Vegas, whatever your bet, and go bet on Baltimore today. Like, go bet on Baltimore today. The Padres have absolutely zero chance. When Fernando Tatis is speaking the way he was at 5 or 4 before the game, the Padres have zero chance. Zero. And that they fell behind 1-0, and I knew the game was over. They fell behind 4-0. The game was over. They lost 4-1. They're done playing. They're done playing this year. They're done. They're over. 2-8, 1-4 road trip. A Diamondbacks team that was so bad that even as they were winning, their announcers were like, "Wow, we haven't seen this in 2 months. Holy cow! The Diamondbacks fell behind and they actually scored. What do you know? Crazy times. Kurt Schilling, welcome back." Like, it was obnoxious to watch what happened this weekend. And I'm sorry, guys. It's over. It's Jover. It's been over. It's done. This team don't care. And they're going to keep losing until they make sure, 100% sure, that they can't make the playoffs.
Yeah. I have some stats that I pulled from earlier that I think perfectly encapsulate the season, just like this weekend perfectly encapsulated the season. So we've talked endlessly about the one-run games, how the Padres are, now have gotten to 6-19. That's a .240 win percentage. 619 represent, as I saw someone say on Reddit.
Hey, Rafi, 300 will get you in the Hall of Fame.
Think about that.
300 will get you in the Hall of Fame. Think about that. So that winning percentage would be the worst one-run game record winning percentage by a major league team in a season since the 1935 Boston Braves, who went 7-31. That's a 184 winning percentage in such games. Can any of you name any player on the Boston Braves in 1935? Dipshit McLoser.
That's it's kind of a trick question. There's a 40-year-old Babe Ruth played on that team, and he put 0.1 B-WAR. So take that for your immaculate grid games in the future. That team went 38 and 115 on the season, but their Pythagorean was 50 and 103, so they got unlucky. Okay. I bring this up because it is unlucky. That is very, very unlucky. But if you look at the underlying symptom there, you think about this weekend and you think about the Padres bullpen constantly being hamstrung because their closer won't pitch more than one inning. Okay? And the letters to AJ had dug into this, and I have some updated stats about the Padres save percentage, save opportunity conversion rate in the bullpen. And
minus Hader.
Minus Hader. So the Padres this year, Josh Hader is 26 for 30 in save opportunities. That's 87%. Pretty good. You'll take that.
And he has to pitch a maximum of exactly one inning.
Yeah. Everyone else is now 2 for 20. 2 for 20. That's a 10% conversion rate. League average save rate is 64%. And I bring this stat up because the Padres are unlucky. Certainly. They are the victims of the circumstance of baseball. But they've also become something that's much worse. They're unlikable. Yep. They're unlikable. And that's what kills me. The fight is dead. And there is something that is seriously infected this team. And I'm sure we'll talk about it later on the show. But there's something of a purge that needs to clearly happen at this point, Craig.
I really liked what you said, and I liked that, you said it in one sentence, and when you sent us that tweet about the Braves, you just said this team has gone from unlucky to unlikable. And I think that's just, honestly, Rafe, that's perfect. It's exactly right. We spent
I disagree.
months.
I like the team. Like, I still like. I don't.
Do you
like
really?
watching? Yeah, I don't like watching them lose, but I still find guys to root for every night. I still
leading
want
off, yeah, but after that, it's just it's misery and depression, man.
Listen, I've been called unlikable by people who just watch my work and the results of my work, and went from there. So no, I think this team is likable. I love Ha-Seong Kim, Blake Snell. I don't necessarily think they're gonna pay him or think they should, but I love when he's pitching. I love watching Yu Darvish pitch. I love watching Yu Darvish pitch in losses like tonight. So no, I'm gonna I don't want to fight about it because we all fan differently. But no, I'm not gonna say I find this team unlikable. I think I find watching the games unpleasant, excruciating, abnormally, bizarrely unlucky, and just cursed. But no, I don't think they're unlikable.
There was something. So Friday, Padres win. You put up a great video, Chris. I put up a hopeful video. That video said these games are 2-game swings, and then they immediately went out and lost the next two game swings, and they dropped like 14%, as you were talking about, Rafe, in playoff odds. So everything was ephemeral. It was like the Padres still can do this, or they can.
On Reddit, after
totally
I posted that video, one of the commenters said, tomorrow they're going to get shut out. And my response to him was, you're just brainwashed by reality.
Exactly. Exactly. So Saturday, I was still in a hopeful mode. We had just won. The second game hadn't been played yet. It wasn't going to start till 5. And I went through what I had done the previous week or so, which is start this parade of parlay watching the teams that we're hoping to catch in the wild card. And I was sifting and jumping around between games. And one of those games was Cubs Blue Jays. And I missed my jump. Like I jumped out in the 7th and I jumped back and the game was over. And I caught the Blue Jays postgame show. And I went to their website to look this up. I think it was Joe Siddall, but honestly, I don't think it was because I've listened and watched to a lot of Blue Jays, and I think I know his voice. So I think it was someone else on their postgame show. I'm not sure who it was. Joe Siddall is listed as their postgame analyst. But whoever the postgame analyst was came on fire. Like Mark Sweeney could dream of having a day as good as this Blue Jays postgame guy was. And he just said straight out, he's like, the Blue Jays need to commit 1 through 9 in this lineup to hammering fastballs, to be ready for the fastball and to hammer the fastball when it comes over the plate. And the problem with the Blue Jays is half the guys are ready and half the guys aren't. And when half the guys aren't, that allows the pitcher to have his game plan that he crafted back at the hotel room and when he was talking to the catcher, and he's able to just execute the game plan because not everyone is bought in to one attack. But if you did commit to just attacking fastballs, then not only do you force the pitcher to throw nasty breaking pitches to beat you, but there's an ancillary benefit because you're locked into a zone. Some of those sliders, some of those waste pitches that go outside, you're going to spit on them because they're not in your attack zone. And so you're not going to get caught in the pitcher's game. And I was listening to that and kind of just nodding my head and going, God, like, I don't know. Like, it seems simple. It seems overly simplistic. It's reductive. But then, I went to the Loyal match that night, and I went to the pregame at Deft and the Garden. And by the way, I'm wearing Loyal today, wearing their Pride kit. It's a beautiful, beautiful kit. And it's the first time on these videos I didn't wear something Padres. And it's because fuck the fucking Padres right now. But I was at the pregame, and we have a beer in hand, and I'm watching the first 3 innings of the Padres Arizona. And of course, Rich Hill gives up 3 runs, guys. But Zach Gallen would fall behind 2-0 in the count and flip 93 center cut. And the Padres take it. Take it. And take it. And take it. Grisham, fastball, take. Sanchez, Sunday, gets up in the count 2-1 on Seawald with a runner on, where a home run is a winning blow. And Seawald throws him 92 down the dick. Take. Strike 2. Swing over a bad pitch inside, strike 3. Game ends. And I'm just sitting here going, what is our plan? Like, as a team, what's our offensive identity? Because to me, the Padres' offensive identity, I'm honestly, guys, please check me. Tell me I'm being emotional. Rafi, give me some fucking fan graphs. Like, tell me I'm wrong. To me, this team's identity is make it easy on the pitcher. To me, this team's identity is take and take and take, but not to take to get to a 2-0 cookie that you're going to smash. Take to get to 2-0, then take the cookie and then swing at pitchers' pitches. Like, I haven't seen a distinct, definitive, understandable plan for the Padres offensively all year. And when I heard that little rant, it locked in, and I saw it again today. I saw them take cookies. I saw them take 2-0 fastballs right down the middle. And I'm just going, what's our plan?
Well, if you want a little bit of data, we talked about this in the Pods with Replacement episode that came out this weekend. One of the trends that is evident from the team is that the strategy is to take pitches. And there's theory behind that. There is like legitimate baseball theory from the people at Driveline and everything that basically, like, walks are so valuable and it is so hard to accurately throw a baseball. Pitchers miss their spot on average by 13 inches that it basically people just swing too much. Like, this is the theory, is that people just swing too much and that actually taking pitches is much more valuable. And the thing is, and you'll see this in the results, the Padres walk rate, we lead the league in walks. Like, and that's a good thing. You know what I mean? We should celebrate that. The trouble is that I think that theory, and this is now where I'm speaking out of my depth because there are unanswerable questions, which is, what is our Padres advanced scouting like? What are the game plans like about, like, what, hey, you're going to this, this game, like you're saying, hey, look, when you get ahead in the count, look for this pitch, et cetera, et cetera. We don't know that. But it feels like there isn't one. It feels like they look lost. And that's the thing, Chris.
Exactly, dude. Like, I'm ignorant to the workings of the clubhouse. You know, I can only speculate on what's going on in there. I have no clear, informed idea of what's wrong, only that something is. And it's the same thing for their preparation, for their advanced scouting, whatever it is. You know, I'm ignorant to their processes of preparation. I don't know what those reports look like. I can only tell that there doesn't seem to be one because the results are so piss poor bad. They're the worst team in the league at hitting fastballs. And this is something that is old. This is an old idea. Like, I remember watching a Dante Bichette video on this about how he was primarily looking fastball until he had 2 strikes on him. And then the pitcher had earned the right to give him a fastball. You know, he can't cheat on that anymore because he's got to protect and look for other crazy stuff. But his entire approach to hitting is trying to get that juicy fastball. And this team constantly gets ahead in the count using that approach you just described, Rafi, getting into 2-1 counts, 3-1 counts, and then they watch the pitch to hit, just completely giving away, abdicating that benefit.
It's bizarro world Ted Williams baseball. It's take a ball, take a strike.
Yeah.
You know, Ted Williams baseball is take a ball, hit a strike. In fact, it boils down to get a good pitch to hit. 6 words. Get a good pitch to hit. And the Padres are great at getting a good pitch to hit. And they've got to be the worst team in the league at hitting that pitch. Because they take it.
That's backed up. Like, I've read that. I've read that there's data that backs up Padres don't hit balls in the middle of the plate.
So, 2-8 since the trade deadline. And a team in complete turmoil. Let me give you a really cogent example. On Sunday, the Padres, having been shut out on Saturday, with their, I hate to say this, with their quote-unquote team leader, Manny Machado, publicly saying Sunday's game is do or die. He said those words.
And he's not a guy who talks like that. He just isn't. You get the BASE, BALL out of Manny.
Yeah. Which you got right after that game.
Mm-hmm.
The Padres are ahead 3-1. Pardon me. Yeah, 3-2. And Nick Martinez pitches the 6th inning. And the Padres score a run in the top of the 7th. And they're now up 4-2. And this is great news because the Padres on the trade deadline, I don't know if you caught this, guys, but they traded for a reliever. They traded for a hard-throwing right-handed reliever to be put into the victory formula to help the club to win close games. But then Scott Barlow, after being really good in his first outing, was really bad in 2 subsequent outings. One against the LA Dodgers. And now Scott Barlow's off the team. Or, I mean, maybe he's on the team. But he's not on the team when you need him. Because in the 7th, Nick Martinez was asked to come back out on Sunday. As if we didn't trade for Scott Barlow. As if we didn't make a move to improve the team. It was, no, we haven't traded for anyone. Nick Martinez is our only reliever. We need him to go 2 innings so that we can get to Suarez and Hader. And guess what? Nick Martinez was bad in the 7th, and he served up a lollipop to Lourdes Gurriel, who launched a 2-run homer in the 7th. And I'm going to build on this, guys, in a couple of minutes, but it really feels like there's a gigantic, cavernous disconnect between who the front office thinks is a good player that could help the team and who the manager thinks is a good player who could help the team. Because we traded assets to get a good, hard-throwing, hard righty reliever in Scott Barlow, and then Nick Martinez served up a 2-run homer to Lourdes Gurriel, a right-handed batter, in the 7th inning.
I'm assuming you're subtweeting Matt Carpenter And that's what you're talking about between the
Yes.
front office and disconnect.
Yes.
And I want to jump ahead to that solely because, to me, more than our record, more than the 1-run record, more than the runners in scoring position, more than the extra innings, this is indicative of what's wrong with the Padres.
Yeah.
It's the willful kneecapping of the roster by the front office because of ego and personal feelings and all of that shit. That to me is the Carpenter still being on the team is indicative of the cultural rot which exists within the organization.
100%. 100%. 100%. Guys, the Padres are 6-19 in 1-run games. 6-19 in 1-run games. And they play a man short every game. Every single game. Our team plays 25 on 26 because AJ Preller refuses to release Matt Carpenter and Bob Melvin refuses to play Matt Carpenter. Do I blame Bob Melvin for refusing to play Matt Carpenter? No. Matt Carpenter's done. He's done. He's already retired.
He said,
I don't know that
when he talks, it sounds like a guy who's already retired.
Yeah.
He literally told Kevin Acee, 10, 14 days ago, like, I don't know why I'm on the team anymore.
Yeah.
And today, Jeff Sanders from the UT sent a tweet and said, Ben Gamble has a locker at the, and in our Discord, it's like, oh, bye-bye Carp. I'm like, wait, just wait. Nope, G-Man Choi's got an injury. We've found another way. Matt Carpenter will continue to be here as a negative roster space for the San Diego Padres for the foreseeable future. But wait, there's more. Already the Padres were playing 25 on 26. But then at the trade deadline, we acquired the worst pitcher in baseball. 20 years older than Ryan Weathers, named Rich Hill. And now we've got a player on the team that automatically loses every game he appears in because he's the worst pitcher. So he's actually working.
He only gave up 3 runs. How is that an automatic loss?
In 3 innings.
I know, but like there were other guys who could do that too.
We're playing 24 on 27 right now.
Rich Hill is going to start another game.
Rich Hill's a double agent. Rich Hill
don't
is starting
disagree.
for the opposition.
No. I got to push back on this, Craig. I'm with Chris on this one because Rich Hill is not a nothing. Rich Hill is a warm body. He's a human sponge that was brought in to soak up innings.
That's right.
That is why he's there. Okay.
Craig, how bad do you think?
More succession.
How bad do you think his outings for the Padres were comparatively to Rich Hill? Like, just so you know, your baseline Rich Hill. Those were his 9th and 10th worst outings by FIP this year. The other 8 were
10th. He's had 8 starts worse than that?
He's had 8 starts this year worse than that. So, like, strap it on, buddy. It is what it is. He's gonna play,
but
he has 6 outings of a FIP over 6 this year, right? No, he's got 5. The last time he had one was against the Padres in 2019. I want to say it was like Tatis's 10th game or something, and he got rocked. The Padres are the last team to do as bad to Rich Hill as he's doing right now. He was wearing a Dodgers uniform, double agent, and you know what the team that he had pitched to the week before, the time before he pitched to the Padres and they rocked him? Pittsburgh. It's a curse. It's a double agent-laden curse.
No, it's not a
death curse.
It's a shit trade.
It is a shit trade.
I just want to give you so much credit. You know, John probably thought I was negging on him the last couple weeks because I was saying it's not logically consistent to insist that the Padres sell at the deadline. I still believe that. But John, the instant that Rich Hill was acquired, said he's one of the worst pitchers in baseball. This is bad, 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 bad. What are we doing? Bad, 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 bad. And he was 100% right. Rich Hill is garbage. And AJ Preller needs to release this motherfucker. Like,
but who's coming?
No,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Him?
We traded
Pedro
away the guy
Avila.
that was coming away. Oh, okay.
Pedro Avila. Who's the guy who's come in and cleaned up each of the last 2 Rich Hill starts with 4+ shutout innings? Pedro Avila. In a meritocracy, Pedro Avila pitches. Period.
Hang on. You're willing to shoot Rich Hill into the sun because of 2 games, and you're going to say, but the same sample size, you're saying Pedro Avila is our savior. Like, I that's what I'm trying to understand. Yes. No, exactly.
This is what I'm saying. When you are in a desperate situation, a losing team, and you acquire an asset to pitch, and then that pitcher immediately doesn't pitch well, bad plan. New plan. Move on.
But they're like behind that plan are several other really bad plans. Like,
yeah.
I don't disagree with you, man. Like, the move, it was 3 players, including a first baseman who has raked since going there. By the way, Alfonso Rivas has like a 900 OPS. I don't want to start with it. I don't want to say it. We had a
whatever. At the All-Star break, I said cut Matt Carpenter and start Alfonso Rivas for 3 straight weeks. I said that on this show.
I said call him up in May. The trade was stupid, man, but I do think you're getting a little hyper intense focused on Rich Hill, who is bad, not incredibly fun to watch, but was only relatively bad in a game the team could have easily won 3-0.
The Carpenter thing is the real thing. Okay, look, the Hill thing is
sucks.
more for the
it's
Hill
dumb,
thing is more for the
everything
comedy.
That's wrong, like you guys say.
Like,
I'm sorry, but you're right.
It's a bit. I extended it for the bit because the show is about entertainment too. We're talking about a losing baseball team. We need to be funny.
We better yell at each other.
We're trying to keep our audience here. Our team is fucking garbage. We need to keep the audience. But Carpenter is. This is an indictment. This is an indictment of a franchise. Honestly, how can you be struggling to win and voluntarily dump a roster spot? We're so good, we'll play with 25. The rest of the league can play with 26. And we'll beat you because we've got Manny Machado and Xander Bogaerts and Juan Soto and Yu Darvish and Jay Cronenworth. Like, what is our plan? We'll take 2-0 cookies down the middle. We'll swing at 2-2 changeups in the dirt. We'll trade for a reliever and then put our bulk starting pitcher, low leverage guy in for a second straight inning to work because we can't possibly use that guy. We'll trade for 2 DHs. The 2 DHs will combine for 2 hits in 10 games. And then we'll have a third DH on the roster, but we'll never use that DH at all. We'll finally call up Ben Gamble on Monday, and we'll put G-Man Choi in the DL because I guess he's hurt now. IL. Fair. Look, honestly, of a piece, and I'm glad I said it.
You wish you can go back to 2020.
No regrets. He's on the fucking DL, okay? No regrets. We are in this darkest timeline, guys, and it gets darker. I hate to say this, but it actually gets a little bit darker. I got to go to these comments. Did you see Bob Nightingale's weekend column in the USA Today? Yes.
Yes.
I saw him.
Dave Roberts thinks this is the best team he's ever managed with with the Dodgers. And David Peralta, who was with the Diamondbacks for years, this is what he said. He said, quote, "Let me tell you something. I was on the other side for a long time playing against this team." Speaking of the Dodgers, I was always wondering the way they go about their business. How do they do it? Why are they so successful? Why do they do everything so good? The moment I walked into the clubhouse in spring training, you feel comfortable and you start tapping into the culture and everything here. There's no selfishness. Everyone is together. There's so much energy. It's about how are we going to work as a team to win? You hear stories on other teams with all of the talent in the world, but they have a lot of egos. They don't like each other, and you can see it by the way they play. David Peralta was talking about the Padres, guys.
100%.
He was talking about Machado and Tatis and the Padres.
Part of me
Yes.
doesn't really care because he's David Peralta and he's a Diamondback and a Dodger. And it comes from Bob Nightingale, who's like a noted shit stirrer who kind of like trolls the Padres fan base on occasion. But we know he's talking about the Padres like 100%. And we know that means they're a conversation point and they're a laughing stock in clubhouses around the league.
It's Bob Nightingale. This is the same article where he said that Ryan Flaherty is the heir apparent, apparently, to being the manager.
And that also Juan Soto is really steep in the talks about extending his contract.
Yeah, which, if that happens, like, I don't know, are we all going to walk down to 19 Tony Gwynn Drive and take a nice little poopy on the front steps of the executive offices?
I'll be happy.
I would consider it.
I'll be happy like the idiot I am, Rafe.
And I'll put a little umbrella, like a frilly cocktail thing in it.
A little French flag.
Just a little mini French stick flag. Here you go. It is the physical manifestation of this organization. So I hope that doesn't happen. But I want to go. It just reminds me of something that you had said earlier on in this season, talking about the 90s Dodgers teams and how it was 25 taxi cabs for 25 dudes.
Yeah.
And that's basically what Peralta said. And that's basically what the vibe is. And I know it's only gotten worse since Joe Sheehan put out his newsletter, but did you want to touch on what he said in terms of potential comeback?
I do. So, really two things, and then we're going to get to Dallas McLaughlin, and we'll dig into it a little more. But my buddy Joe Sheehan, who I do Immaculate Talk with every day, his newsletter is outstanding. Please subscribe. Please support him. Go to joesheehan.com. Joe today did something super useful for our community, Rafe and Chris. He started with 2012 with the 5-team wildcard era. And for every year from 2012 to 2022, he looked at specifically today, August 14th. And from this point to the end of the year, how many of the teams that were in playoff position finished in playoff position? And how many teams that were in it fell out of it? Or how many teams that were out of it rose their way back into it? And I think it's pretty fascinating that from 2012 to 2022, 86 of the 102 teams that were in playoff position on August 14th made the playoffs. Okay? Now, that's 86 out of 102. So that's 16 teams that made it in that were out, and there were 86 teams that were in and stayed in.
Mm-hmm.
Break it down a little bit further. Of the 16 teams that made it in August 14th or later, 15 of the 16 were at least 4.5 games within a playoff spot.
Yeah.
13 of the 15 were within 2 games or less of a playoff spot. Okay? One team, the St. Louis Cardinals of 2021, were 6 games out at this spot of the year and made the playoffs. What happened in 2021?
The Padres pulled a reverse Cardinals.
Correct. 2 things happened. The Cardinals won 17 games in a row. And at the exact same time, the Padres went 12-31. And those two things combined to allow the Cardinals to make the playoffs and the Padres to miss the playoffs. So, are the Padres going to win 17 in a row?
I don't know. Listen, hey, the Cardinals, after that season, still fired Mike Schilt. And who does Mike Schilt work for now? I'm just saying. Checkmate, atheists. Think about that next time before you act up.
Fire Melvin tonight. Hire Schilt tomorrow. Win 17 in a row. Make the playoffs.
It's simple.
Fixed.
We fixed the Padres, gang. We fixed the Padres. Yeah, I thought Joe did some great data work there, Rafe. Just to illustrate, we're now past all of it. Remember your great PAR? 2019 Nationals, 2021 Braves, 2023 Padres? Like, Braves, gone. Nationals, gone. Rocktober, the Colorado Rockies in Rocktober were already in better position now than the San Diego Padres. We are down to the 21-21 Cardinals winning 17 in a row and having another team torpedo down the standings. That's it. That's our scenario. That's what's left.
I think I'll go on record and say this: if we win 17 games in a row, we're making the playoffs. Okay?
Yes,
I think,
I
and
agree.
hold me to that. If that doesn't happen, you can roast me. Permission to roast.
For the record, I just want to say my number was 10. So, like, if this happens,
I love it. I love it. So that's where we are. Look, that's where we are. Fernando Tatis Jr.'s shoulder is sore.
ouch.
The team is playing a shorthanded roster. They're playing the same players every day.
But now we got 2 extra outfielders. If Gamel's up, hey.
They're asking the same 5 pitchers to pitch in rotation every day, including guys who are sore and run down. This team's broke. This team is broken. It's done. They've already lost to Baltimore. They're 2-8. It's done. We're going to bring on Dallas McLaughlin, and we're going to talk a little bit more about what might come out of all of this right after this. Behold, the Wheel of Fortune. A Padres hot tub Wheel of Destiny, where one Blake Snell autographed baseball will go to the man or woman or robot who has entered into this contest. They're all on the wheel. Rafi, spin the wheel.
Oh, this is Disney.
Wow.
I don't like this.
Big money, no whammies.
Yes.
Oh, the
Lynn!
cruelty. Lynn Wynn, congratulations.
I am pretty sure Lynn said something nice about me in the comments, so I'm all about this.
What's up with the cruelty of the late slow drag across the last name before Lynn Wynn is like, it's you,
I'm surprised.
not you.
I'm surprised it doesn't pop up after this box. We have a winner, and then we have a loser. In the
Yeah, we have a winner, but not you, pal. It's Lynn Wynn. Congratulations, Lynn Wynn. You get a Blake Snell autographed baseball. Message us, right?
I'll comment on the YouTube and have them email us.
Perfect.
And then we can do it that way.
Yeah, we have
email us, padreshottub@gmail.com. Only the right person. Lynn Wynn, congrats. You get the ball. All right, as promised, here he is, our man from the Kept Faith. Dallas McLaughlin is joining us. His new comedy album, I Didn't Start the Fire, and Other Lies, available on all major platforms for you to pick up and download. Dallas, welcome to Padres Hot Tub. Thanks for coming on with us.
I appreciate it. It's been way too long since I've been on Padres Hot Tub. Last time, Craig, was we were outside of Three Punks in Chula Vista, and all of us getting very drunk and yelling at each other quite a bit. There was a lot going on with San Diego State, and and people were upset. And Matt, I thought all of us were going to just punch each other at the same time. It was pretty amazing. But thank you for having me back, even after that debacle. I appreciate you having me back.
I half remember that. Now that you bring it up, I remember it.
We drank a lot. We all drank a lot.
Drink a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you know, Mr. Garcia's very fine beer. It was worth it. So we've been talking Padres, and we're going to talk Padres this segment, but I thought it would be a nice little buffer in what has been, the dark clouds over Gwynn and Hoffman here to talk a little bit about the album, because I know it's been a little bit of a struggle to get it out on all the platforms, but I got the chance, about 2 months ago, to listen to it on Bandcamp.
Yes.
And thought it was hilarious. So tell everyone about the new album.
Well, yeah, and I thank you for being an early adopter to Bandcamp. It is not easy to convince people that Bandcamp's really easy to use. They just don't believe you. It's like, remember when you had to tell somebody what a podcast was? Like, remember that mental hurdle for somebody? And all you'd be like, no, you just go to the site and you push download. And they're like, nah, I don't get it. You know what I mean? And it's like, that's the same thing with Bandcamp. So I just abandoned that. We had issues with Apple Music and Spotify. There's still issues with Spotify. That's a huge story that doesn't interest anybody, but it's been a big struggle. And then finally, if it got all figured out, and it came out on Friday, and it was, like the last album. You listened to the last album, Craig. The response has been very, very overwhelming. Like I don't know how to handle people liking what I do. It's not something that I'm comfortable with. And again, people have really come out and purchased the album or streamed it, whatever they did. But, I charted, I'm still on the charts right now for Apple Music, which is amazing, on the comedy charts, and got a nice little boost from Patton Oswalt on Friday when I beat him on the charts. He was very sweet about it. And, mean a little bit, little mean jabs online, but also sent me a very sweet message, which was kind of him to do so. And then when I replied, he never replied back. But that's fine. We all get our chances. And then it's just been nice, man. So the album is stories that I've recorded over the last 10 years. Unlike the last album, this one is a little bit of a theme where it's like all about jobs that I've had or, things that I have done. And it usually the theme within the theme is that I've, screwed it up somehow, like that I've burned the bridge or failed. And usually it's just because I'm a stubborn a-hole. I don't know if we're allowed to curse on this podcast. I forget.
Oh, absolutely. Rafi does it like 3 times every time he jumps in.
Great. Well, I'm a stubborn butthole then. And
I got to say butthole in the YouTube video this week. It was fun.
Butthole's a fun word. Butthole's very underrated. Yeah. But anyway, so there's a great story on there that's that for Padres fans that years and years ago, I developed this show called Off Base for a now defunct local sports channel. You can figure that one out for yourself. And it was quite the ordeal. And for years, everybody always asked me, like, what happened? What happened with it? And legally, it was very hard to kind of get around and tell. And then one day I was just like, fuck it. I'm just going to go tell it. I'm just going to go tell the story.
They're defunct.
They're defunct. And I literally went and told the story at Whistle Stop one night. And it was very fun and it's heartbreaking. Oh, there goes Chris. It was heartbreaking. But anyway, so yeah, that story's on the album. A lot of people ask what happened with it. I go into great detail about what happened with it, and I don't really hold back. I feel like I should. Why should I, Craig? You've heard the story. Why would I hold back?
No, you shouldn't.
Yeah, they really, really fucked us over and deserve all of the mean things that I say in very vague ways about them.
You tell some incredible stories in the album. And by the way, Dallas is going to come on Have a Drink later this week, and we'll dig in to a couple of those stories in greater depth. I kind of want to save the radio one for there. Yeah. But I will just say, like, I don't think our paths radio-wise crossed. We were in different buildings. And so when you told that story, like, I didn't know any of that. I didn't know about those early years on FM radio for you. And that, like that was like when I met you and interacted with you, you weren't in that space anymore. And so it was really, really interesting. We'll talk about it more later in the week. But the Steve Martin story, Like,
Oh yeah,
that had to be your favorite to do.
It is one of my. You know, my wife hates it, but I literally, it's the best night of my life. You know, and she's like, "Well, past when we had kids," and it's like, I don't know. It might be better than when we had kids. It was such a fantastic evening already because it centers around me getting to open up for Norm Macdonald for an entire weekend and hanging out with him and joking with him and just talking about comedy with him, which was like already like,
oh my goodness,
nothing will get better than this experience. And then on the last night of that weekend, Steve Martin and Paul Simon show up to the club and then they just hang out. And it was, I go into detail. I don't want to give away too much, but like, let's just say it doesn't go as I planned it in my head, like it was going to go. And maybe Paul Simon hates me now. And it was like a very, very weird night, but like Steve Martin was so generous and funny. Like he was just so fucking funny, like without trying, just a master. It's like, you know, I don't know. It's like, to give a sports analogy, it had to be like watching Tony Gwynn in the batting cage. You know what I mean? Where it's just like, you're watching somebody do something so effortlessly. Like that's what it was for like watching Steve Martin just in a room of people. Like everything he said was great and brilliant.
He may have done his thing with crowds larger than Tony Gwynn did his thing.
Probably.
You know, it's pretty nuts.
He was, so like he's my hero. I mean, he's the reason I got into entertainment. And to begin with, when I was 12 years old, I saw The Jerk. And like, there was just no going back after that.
Dallas, in entertainment, do you sometimes, and I get this feeling, do you sometimes feel like Forrest Gump, where you're just kind of like, why am I in this room? Like, what is happening? And was that one of those feelings?
Yes, it was. Well, I mean, there's a part of the story where I say like Norm, the show ended and Norm's like, hey, can you go get Steve Martin and bring him back here? And as I'm walking from the back room to get him, I'm like, so Norm Macdonald just asked me to go get Steve Martin and Paul Simon. Like, what is happening? Like, you know what I mean? Like those are moments where I'm like, I don't belong here. I shouldn't be here. I'm just going to make a fool out of myself. And luckily I didn't in front of Steve anyway, but it was, you know, I took pictures with him and that's still like my profile picture on Facebook from the day after it happened to now. It's still my picture. And again, my wife gets upset that our wedding pictures or anything else aren't the profile picture, but I'm like, listen, we could always get married again. I'm never going to hang out with Steve Martin again. That's just not going to happen. But it was such a thrill. It was an incredible night. And yeah, again, with the theme, you can see how I made that night. You can hear how I made that night not great for some people in the room.
I didn't start the fire and other lies. Find it. Apple, find it. Bandcamp. Bandcamp is where you're going to get the best return, right? That's where the artist does the best, doesn't it?
Yes, we get like, you can pay, I think I set the price at like $7 for the album, and you can pay more than that if you want. And I think it's like 70% of the money. So it's a large chunk of money. Like I made a joke the other day, but it's true. You could stream my album on Apple Music for like the next 6 months, and that will amount to like a purchase on Bandcamp if you purchased it for like, regular price. It's kind of ridiculous. The only outweigh thing is that more people have Apple Music. It's more accessible. Right. It's easier to access for people. But Bandcamp is also, just go to bandcamp.com and you search my name, and literally from the website, you can push play and stream the entire album. It's that easy. Very, very simple. There's an app for it too. But if you have friends who are artists, Bandcamp is always the preferred place to go because they will get a nice chunk of it. And on Fridays, Bandcamp gives the artist all of the money. They don't take any money. So if you do it on Friday, you get all the money. It's a pretty sweet deal. Spotify,
this place sounds pretty impossible to stay in business, Dallas. This makes no sense. Like, this can't exist in our world.
But somehow they do, Chris. Somehow they do. It's not on Spotify, though. The album's not on Spotify. People keep asking me, and then I just say, go to Bandcamp. Spotify sucks. And not for the Joe Rogan nonsense alone. It's just that they stopped putting out comedy records, like spoken word and comedy records. And they did that because they refused to give those people any percentage of rights to the playlists that they put those on. Mm-hmm. So they would put like comedy, little bits on playlists all across Spotify. And then somebody would go, hey, that's my bit, man. I'm getting a percentage of that, right? And they'd be like, no. So that was like a whole thing. It was a whole ordeal. So no Spotify, but please, Bandcamp, Apple Music. I appreciate anybody going and listening to it.
Okay, let's. We've had our nice cool down. We cursed a lot in the first segment. We had our nice cool down. We talked about a great Steve Martin story. Let's kind of get into it. We got into a lot of the nuts and bolts earlier in the show, Dallas, and we saved some of the kind of meatier stuff for this segment. So, a team that has revealed itself as dysfunctional, a team that has revealed itself as essentially incapable of the task. You know, the task of being a contender in the National League. Gut reaction.
You're talking about the Mets?
And
hey,
and the Padres. Where do you cast the blame? If it what reaction, gut, instinct? Where do you cast the blame?
Honestly, Brady Phelps. Where did that guy go? Where's Brady? Where's lob shots when you really need them? Huh? Where is Lobby?
Cirillo's story is still going.
Oh man, Cirillo story. The blame is AJ Preller. That's the blame. Like you can always listen. When have you not been able to blame a manager? You've always been. People blame Bruce Bochy. Like you're always able to blame a manager. A manager is always
fire BruceBochy.com.
Exactly. You're always able. A manager's gonna make mistakes. That's just part of being a manager. So like people like Melvin's fault because he put in Suarez or whatever the fuck. It's like, yeah, that's right. All of these losses are Melvin's fault because he put in Suarez this game. Like, just shut the fuck up. Like, Melvin's made mistakes. I get it. But like, as I saw you tweet today, Craig, there's only one person who's been here the whole time. And the whole time we're in our window. We're in our window. So who's the guy that's opening and shutting that window? It's AJ Preller. And it's time for him to go. That's it. That's who's to blame. Like the players, sure. But you could say they don't try. But are any of us professional baseball players? Do we even know what it's like to try at professional baseball? No. So I'm not going to be like, Machado's not putting forth enough effort. I don't even know what the fuck it would take to go up there and swing a bat if you're facing a pitcher, a professional. Are you kidding me right now? Like, it's just so stupid that people blame the players. Maybe they could be doing better. Obviously, they could in some scenarios. What does that take? Who knows? But it's not Melvin. It's not. Who's this guy I've never heard of in my life before? Ryan Flaherty? Is that some guy
God.
He's a world champion.
I never even heard of this guy before today. When people start talking about him,
he's a famous Cardinal.
That's who he is. You're right.
He's a famous Cardinal.
All those guys are just like, you know, we're keep going down the line, and it's just ridiculous. Like, I don't see how anybody protects Preller. I mean, Seidler will. They're not going to fire him. There's not a chance in hell they'll ever fire him. But I made this point on the Kept Faith podcast, and I'll make it every day of my life. If you fire AJ Preller, guess what he won't be doing again for a very long time? Being the general manager of a professional baseball team.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all you know. That's all you need to know. Melvin will get another job if you fire him. Preller will not. So,
well, the thing about the people who are putting the blame on Bob Melvin and saying, well, you know, it's not on AJ Preller, it's on Bob. AJ hired Bob Melvin. So if you're going to criticize Bob Melvin, you have to criticize AJ Preller. I want to credit Brent Schmerda on Twitter because he gave me the biggest laugh that I had today. But he posted a picture of AJ Preller and just wrote, "Just one more manager, bro. I promise, bro. Just one more manager and it'll fix everything, bro. Bro, please, just one more manager and we can fix this whole problem, bro. Bro, come on, just give me one more manager, bro. I promise, bro. Bro, please, I just need one more manager." That's the vibe. That's the vibe. So you can't blame Bob without blaming AJ.
Yeah, there's no chance. I mean, I know where you stand, Craig, right? You're right.
Well, yeah, I mean, absolutely. The Padres this year will underperform their Vegas odds number. And that's every year, right? It's every single year of the Preller regime. And it's not a big thing, but it's certainly not nothing. That every single year, the brightest prognosticators in the world, the Vegas sharps, the guys who their entire livelihood is bet on setting a number that is going to be 50% one way and 50% the other. Every year, you could bet against the Padres, bet the under, and bank.
Yeah.
And that kind of blows my mind that we are getting ready for the 4th regime change. We're getting ready for the 3rd buildup for a club, or the continuation of our golden era, you know, of 2020 to now. And that we're just like, well, AJ is excellent. You know, those Seidler quotes in July are some of the most, maybe the most Padre fan depressing quotes of the year. Grupner and AJ aren't going anywhere. I'm all about excellence, and AJ is excellent.
Well, that's why I kind of want to push back on the AJ thing. Like I'm 100% in alignment with you, but if you're going to go ultimate blame, ownership has done this to, you know, they have him in the chair doing it all. And like, if the team is demanding that AJ Preller sign massive contracts and then handcuffing him with, you know, some sort of payroll liability. But then again, he's signing Matt Carpenter, so it doesn't seem like there's any payroll restrictions deeper down in the depth. But here's the thing. If they don't fire him, they're to blame. So what you say is right, Dallas. Like, if they don't fire him, then they are to blame for all of it.
I mean, you can't. I mean, let's just put it in simpler terms. If you ran a Subway franchise, and every single year you were running that Subway franchise, you weren't the owner, you were the general manager of the Subway franchise.
Yeah.
If every single year that you were in charge, money was going out the door, you were failing, the franchise was failing, you weren't even coming close to what was expected of the, like the bare minimum of the Subway franchise. If that happened for 2 years in a row, you would be fired from that job. It wouldn't matter if you were a Harvard graduate that somehow wound up general managing a Subway franchise. Like, you would be out. So, like, in any other scenario, AJ Preller would have lost his job already. If he was with another organization, AJ Preller would have lost his job already.
Baseball GMs, it's tough to fire a baseball GM, apparently. It seems really hard for owners to do.
Some owners.
I just like, I get that you could, you know, ownership, but you can't, you can blame ownership to some degree because they hired him, but you can't fire ownership. So it's like you're with your ownership. And I'm not going to get mad at Seidler for opening the pocketbook. The problem is that he opens the pocketbook and then AJ acts like he's Cashman with the 2006 Yankees. And he's like, well, I'll just buy all the superstars. Didn't really work out for them either. So it's like, it only works out when you buy a couple superstars and then know how to fill in the edges. And he does not have any fucking clue how to fill in the edges. Not one. Like, do you remember, Craig? One of the times I was on Make Padres Great Again, we talked so long about how much we loved Solarte. But we loved Solarte because he was a guy on the peripheral. He was a guy to fill in. Like, he wasn't the star, right? But he's a perfect guy. Like Profar on the Padres. Like, last year we had guys like Profar and Alfaro, guys who filled in. They weren't the stars. They were just there to help. And so it's like, he can't do that, though. It's like, he can't do that consistently. He has no ability. He like lucks into these guys and then he trades them. You know, does that mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, and I would actually argue the reverse, that you need to build the foundation, and the thing that's actually filling in on the quote unquote edges is the superstars. Like, you spend the money for the people. Like, signing Manny Machado the first time around was the biggest no-brainer. Yes, this is an organizational win because we had zero organizationally at third base. And so what do? You pay up for the best third baseman. And that was awesome. The trouble is when you're bringing in superstars and then you're going to have to try and backfill from the farm system, which takes time and development and luck, like just pure luck too. That's the other thing. And that seems like what they've been trying to do is like, we'll buy the team and then everything else. AJ's the master scout. And I think, like, I would be curious if you guys could make any argument for keeping AJ Preller, because I can't make one seriously, but I think if I were to make one kind of comically, it would be that, like, he's got like the dead man switch in his hand. And the only thing that keeps him from blowing himself up and us with it is the fact that he is refilling the farm system at the rate that he is, because we're now dependent on the cheap talent. And if we fire him, then we blow up.
The only thing I can see that if I was an owner who had told him you have to sign somebody this offseason. Like if Seidler dictated the Bogarts and Machado signings, like both of those specifically, then maybe he has an excuse. Maybe. Because then he's a little handcuffed in what he can do on the edges. But I don't have evidence that he's handcuffed on the edges.
There's
The evidence is that he's bad at making choices.
Yeah, I don't know if Seidler's coming and going, I really want Bogarts.
Yeah,
Like, here's the thing. I can make I will make no argument to keep Preller. There really isn't one, because the one I keep hearing is he's good with the farm system. He's good with the farm system. Well, what the fuck did he do when he showed up to San Diego? He traded away our farm system. So obviously he wasn't the only general manager who was good at the farm system. The guy before him brought us Trey Turner and a bunch of other fucking people. So it's like, it's not, to me, we can say he's good at the farm system all day long, which he is, but that doesn't mean anything
out there.
It doesn't. Yeah, exactly.
It's not the only.
He's not the only guy. He lucked into Tatis, and he has been able to draft some other people who haven't really panned out for anybody else, FYI. And now he's got Salas, who could be amazing, great. That's again. It's not like no GM just misfires every single time. That's not something that happens. So it's like,
well, the Kansas City guy who just got fired.
Sure. But for years they had guys who were building up that team. That's the point.
It took that guy years to get fired, but he did win a World Series. So
and how did he win that World Series? With a couple of superstars,
Eric Hosmer's leadership,
and Sal Perez, a couple superstars, and then some veterans. You're filling in the edge. It's like, look at the Braves now. It's like, I actually think I'll contend that I think one of maybe the thing that happened that was not supposed to happen and screwed this whole thing up was Tatis being as good as he was so quickly. Because
that's you think he's gone in like 2020 if Tatis doesn't happen?
No. I think that we do bide our time and let people develop a little bit longer if Tatis doesn't go so quickly.
Because the window got opened a little early.
Like you said, I feel like Machado, we signed Machado for forever, for years, right? So he was going to be here. He was going to be the cornerstone. And it's like, you can build around that guy. Tatis obviously was a part of that puzzle. But that dude breaks immediately. What are you going to do? Now you got two superstars. Now you're all of a sudden playing. You're all of a sudden doing well. It's like, now I think that might have been, this is me trying to find reasons, but I think that could have been a thing that got us to where we are, where it's like he's rushing and making rash decisions.
Well, to kind of get back to Rafi's question, though, in a way, I think the biggest offenses of AJ Preller aren't necessarily from an organizational standpoint. It's from he's helped position the Padres in the baseball gestalt. In a grander sense, the Padres are quote unquote on the map more than they were. But I really do, you talk about 2019, you talk about Tatis maybe getting, his success propelling the Padres. Here's where I definitely agree with you. I think AJ Preller came in the fall, winter of 2014, young, full of himself, arrogant, and he fucked up royally. He put together a terrible team that, if it was kept together, would have been the worst team in baseball. We'd still be the worst team in baseball if they had kept the Matt Kemp, Derek Norris, Justin Upton Padres together. And the good thing that AJ Preller did, at that point, me and John Gennaro were like, which is you, we're like, get rid of AJ Preller. AJ Preller's the worst. And then he got on a slow build plan. And from 2016 through the beginning of 2020, I think the Padres took a number of very respectable, measured, careful moves to make themselves well-positioned as a good franchise. That whole time, he built his credentials as a GM. And then he got to play this ridiculous, goofy simulation, 60-game, no fans, no schedule season, and got 20 games into it and was doing well, and decided to trade 10 farm players for 2 big leaguers who turned out to be absolute crap in Nola and Clevenger. And I feel like from that point forward, it's been one risky gambit after another to try and hit the propellant for this club and to pay on the credit card for all the mistakes of trading the farm system to get Austin Nola and Mike Clevenger?
Yeah, man. Austin Nola. God, I literally forgot about him until you just said his name. And that's a blessing. I consider that a blessing that I got to forget about him. I think that, to me, that is his biggest hang up, is that he is a good scout. You can't deny that. He's a good scout. He's going to get good players. Again, he's not the only guy that can do that. I think he's a horrible major league evaluator. I think every time he's made a trade and brought people in, it's always been the wrong move. I mean, the only thing I'm trying to like literally Hater.
Jerkson Profar was pretty solid,
but he wasn't a trade. He was an acquisition. He was a trade.
Yeah, I think they gave him like nothing. I think it was like a cash trade or something.
Oh, well, there you go.
No, yeah, Oakland outrighted him at the end of the season because he was.
But Profar was in camp with us, though. I mean, maybe it was an off-season
in
trade.
The off-season,
okay.
The A's like outrighted him or something. The Padres were like, "We'll take him for cash" or something like that.
Yeah, I want to say we traded him like Austin Allen or something like that.
Yeah.
No, he went. Okay, well, so Profar, but also Profar was up and down.
Yeah, suck it, Dallas. Jerkson Profar.
Hey, listen, as somebody who drafted Jerkson Profar in my fantasy minor league, I've loved that man for a long time. But he just doesn't like. I mean, even with this recent acquisition, and I know, Craig, you were kind of excited about it, Rich Hill and Choi. But
yeah, Craig was super stoked about
the
Rich Hill.
most excited. I love. I celebrate his entire catalog. I really. But do.
I mean, well, it's good. You can because it's not that long. But I just don't like those moves. Are like, we're not going for it. Like you're just like you're not gonna like. I remember this one time somebody said this about the World Baseball Classic because I think it was like Matt Stairs or something like that was playing on the Denmark team or the Netherlands or some weird. There was just something weird, and I remember somebody saying this one time. Well, here's something you'll never hear in your life. And Matt Stairs has just driven in the winning run for Denmark in the World Baseball. Like you'll never hear that sentence. And that's what I think about when I think about like Rich Hill just struck out the batter in the 8th to win, to push us over the edge for the World Series or something. It's just like, you're never going to hear that. Like those guys are just like, I don't understand it. Like we didn't give up anything, sure. But like, why is that your move? And like, I would have just rather played with the guys who were there. Like, you know what I mean? Like, why? Like, it just doesn't make any sense.
He needs the splash. He needs the clicks.
I would disagree that we didn't give up anything because we gave up guys who would theoretically be coming in and starting for where Rich Hill is starting now, So it's like.
I mean, theoretically, but
yeah,
we also can't develop pitchers. So what does it matter?
Rafi used to have a poster of Ryan Weathers behind him instead of our blanket.
Oh,
right. And he got a Jackson Wolf rookie card, so it was
my stock is tanking right now.
It's a tough day for the Rafe on the deadline. All right, let me set a different discussion topic, and maybe this is for the rest of the segment. This Padres team is a tire fire. We talked about it at length. They've lost again. They're 7 games under. They're not going anywhere. They're going the other direction.
It's early, Craig. It's early.
It's very early. Yeah, this team's going to finish with a win total in the 70s. I'm now 100% convinced of that. And yet, with season ticket prices going up around the stadium next year, and by all indications so far, AJ Preller's going to be in place for next season. I wanted to ask each of you about scenarios for 2024. What are the run it back scenarios for 2024 that you are acceptable with? How much of just run it back? Like to what level? Are you okay, for example, with run it all the way back?
Okay,
Bob
all
Melvin
the way back being Matt Carpenter is still on the 26-man opening
Bob
day.
Melvin comes back. You re-sign Blake Snell. You re-sign Josh Hader.
Okay,
You run it back. All right. Carpenter's there the first day of spring training. You run it back. Like from that to the manager's going to leave, but we're going to make trades. We're going to make free agent signings to we're not really running it back. We're going to trade guys. We're going to trade Soto. We're going to like, what's the level that you can accept for 2024? To the panel.
I mean, you guys can start. I don't.
I'll start. Okay. So the one time I bought season tickets, Craig, was in 2010 when I had some commercial money from my Sprint Eat It Yoshi commercial that nobody will know me that from. But I had a little extra cash for the first time in my life. I bought a little 10-game package, and then I got a job at the Playhouse, and I got to go to like 4 games. It's the curse. But the point is I have never wanted to spend money until the recent spat of ownership. You know, I can't go to all the games in the world because I don't live down there, but I buy 2 to 3 hats a year. I give the team my fealty, right? And I think I'm going to do that as long as they put money into it, man. Like, but I also need to see a little bit of indication that the organization is well run, that the organization wants to heal itself because it's dysfunctional. And so, like, I think a change within the organization, within the group of people responsible for hiring the players, for preparing the players, I think a major change is needed there.
What do you think, Rafe? Or Dallas?
No,
Dallas,
go ahead, Rafe.
No, okay. Do you guys remember in Succession when Tom reads the memo about cruises, and then he goes to Greg and he's like, "I've been infected with a virus, and if I touch you and you read this, you too have the virus." I think the Padres have mentally been infected with the virus, and the virus is the knowledge that this can all go terribly, that this can all go horribly wrong. And I think that if they were to just straight up run it back,
oh my god,
they literally physically cannot. They cannot because the vibes are so bad, and you need to another Succession thing. You need something of a blood sacrifice, I think, to try and cleanse the vibes, and it's unfortunate. And it sucks because it's probably going to be Bob Melvin and he doesn't deserve it. And that sucks. But honestly, like at this point, can you bring Bob Melvin back? Can you? Because they're not playing for Bob Melvin right now. And I'm not saying it's his fault. It's fucking not his fault. I will die. I will go to my deathbed and my grandkids will be like, "Grandpa, what is one thing that you wish you could say?" It's like in 2023, it wasn't Bob Melvin's fault. Okay, but
like 2023, was that before the Second Civil War? Was that?
Yes.
Was that in the before times?
Yes.
When the sun didn't kill us? When we lived above grounds?
Yeah. Before AJ Preller became the Mad Max Lord of Encinitas and roamed with his marauding front office. Okay, I'm getting off topic.
Chris,
I don't think it's physically. My short answer is I don't think it's physically possible for them to run it back. And I honestly like you said, they lost tonight. If they end up in a win total with a win total in the 70s, like can they bring Bob Melvin back? Because they need to fire AJ Preller. We've established that. But if they keep Bob Melvin, like, does he then have more sway than the general manager? Like, and then what kind of dynamic does that bring? Like, it feels like if one of them goes, they both need to go. So, yeah, Dallas.
You don't run this back. You don't run this back. And here's the thing. I've said this on the Cafe. I'm not trying to plug. I'm just saying. I've said this before, so it's not going to be new to people, but that somehow listen to that podcast. You don't bring Soto back, and I know that that's a huge controversial take, and I understand. And this isn't a comment on Soto as a player, This isn't a comment on
just as a person.
This is no, not even that. It's not a comment on his abilities as a baseball player. Like people are like, Soto doesn't suck. I agree, he does not suck. But there is clearly something that isn't correct about him on the Padres. It was very apparent the first week he was here last year. I have heard a lot of rumors, as I'm sure we all have, that him and Machado don't necessarily like each other very much, that there is some kind of superstar headbutting. I could see that very easily. I don't think the idea of a big four, Xander, Soto, Machado, and Tatis works. I think they're not. I don't think they're able to get what they need, the four of them together. And the only guy you're not committed to here is Soto. I think you don't bring Soto back. I would love to see Grish gone. I can't stand Trent Grisham. I haven't been able to stand Trent Grisham for years. I think he is one of the more overrated baseball players that's playing professional baseball right now. He had one okay season and people lost their fucking minds. And now he's terrible, but he can play defense. And so why not have him? You know who else can play defense?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people.
Smith.
I'd rather have Travis. I'd rather have
Smith played defense. Kenny Lofton played.
Go
defense.
out and get Travis Jankowski to play center field for me if you need somebody who can play defense.
This is insane.
No, it's not insane.
People don't listen to that
Yes, it
show.
is.
do.
He's like the 19th worst thing about the team. There's
really
so
good
many
numbers.
other things that are worse.
Yeah.
You asked me, should we run it back? And I'm answering.
Yeah, that's fair.
Well,
I did.
Dallas, I
completely
just for a little
But-
context,
Yeah.
I have lost my fortune in Trent Grisham rookie cards.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that might
exactly.
that might be good information.
I wonder why.
love him, but I also advocated for him to be traded at the deadline. So
he's
Yes,
not.
you did.
He's not like
we're
a
complex pictures.
Listen, he is a great center field glove, but there are other problems that we can handle. Anyway, my big thing that you don't do is you don't go out and spend a shit ton of money getting Soto back next year. You just don't do it. You don't. He's not. He's a DH. Maybe.
What about Shohei Ohtani?
Listen, you bring me Ohtani. Nick McCann said this to me the other day. Shohei Ohtani, if they sign Shohei Ohtani, he will be the true barometer of a Padres curse. If he comes to the Padres, if he comes to the Padres and is somehow bad, then yes, we are cursed.
I will believe it. I will believe in curses if Shohei Ohtani came to the Padres and was bad.
If he was bad,
he'd be hurt by May. It's an absolute guarantee.
So you admit it's true.
There is a curse.
He'd be hurt by May, dude.
So
Yeah.
To me, it's I really enjoy watching Juan Soto. I at bat, by the way, when he's at bat. Not all other times I really don't enjoy watching him, but he is he's something special. There's no doubt about it. He's super young. What is he? He's only 17 still. He's very, very young. He's got such a bright future ahead of him, and I want that future to be somewhere else where he can be the guy. It's like I think he needs to be the guy, and I don't think he likes playing second fiddle. And that's okay. So some guys don't like it. It's okay. Like that's not a terrible thing. Carmelo Anthony hated doing that. It's like there are professional athletes who just want to be the guy, and go let him be the guy. Go let him be DH somewhere for $400 million. It doesn't need to be with us. We have plenty of guys who can be DHs. So like, I think you take that money, you spend it elsewhere, whether it's on Ohtani or filling some holes. Like I know that I know the Sanchez is whatever he is, but at least Sanchez, we know what Sanchez is. Like, what you're going to get with Sanchez. And I find comfort in that. Like, I love that I'm not expecting anything but maybe a home run. You know what I mean? Like, I love that. Like
Gary Sanchez is going to get like a $12 million a year contract with a team that signs Blake Snell.
I would bring Blake
That's
Snell
probably
back.
true.
I really love Blake Snell a ton. And I hope we bring him back. I hope we do. You can spend that Soto money on Blake Snell. And I think you sign him for a lot less. He loves San Diego, really likes it here. I think he stays here for a little bit less money.
Okay.
He's done it once with Tampa.
Yep. There you go. See? So that's my thing. And yes, no Preller. You don't run Preller back. I love Melvin. Keep Melvin. If you lose him, you lose him, whatever. But nobody's going to come play for Preller. They lose Melvin. You're not getting anybody reputable to come be manager of this team.
So I have an ulterior motive for asking this question, which is I have 3 season tickets to the San Diego Padres that are set for renewal at like 3 weeks from now. They're set for renewal 3 weeks from now, and I have only that long to either say something or to be committed at a price of about $600 more for next year to my season tickets. I did find out today that part of that is because they pre-charge you for tickets in Korea that I will never go to. So my overall cost will go down as soon as I don't show up in Seoul. So that'll be cool for next year. But whereas I got those tickets literally the day after they signed Fernando Tatis Jr. to his statue contract and said, "You guys are committed, so I'll commit to you." That's what I said to the ticket rep. Like, you guys are committed, I'll commit to you. They've since raised those prices twice. I've been there for a historic collapse, for a middling season that had a great run at the finish, and a night that I'll never forget against the Dodgers.
Mm-hmm.
And then this awful season. Just truly an unpleasant season of baseball. One of the worst. Like, cancel this season. You know, this is justified season 5. Like, skip it, go to the next season. You know, this is just not a good season. The fifth season of the Americans.
It's not the one I wasn't on. You're not bashing me underhandedly, are you here, Craig?
Were you in the Crow family? No, you were in season 3.
Oh yeah, there you go. Thank you. Right, yeah.
You were in season 3 of Justified. That's a great season of Justified. What are you talking about?
Right, good. Just not going to let slander happen on my watch.
I haven't seen one episode. Sorry.
Well, fuck
wow.
You,
separate story. Why should I keep my season tickets? What is the 2024 version of this team that's worth it? As it gets more expensive to be there, as the supply demand, pressure point moves, as the team has this incredibly disappointing season. I guess I'm trying to find some emotional ballast for this. Why do I think the Padres are going to be worth following in 2024?
Because you, I think, like the other people on this podcast, love them too much. Like, that's why you'll do it. Like Travis Travis from the Cat Faith, he has season tickets. He said their families had him forever. He's so pissed off that they raised prices. Like, you couldn't. I mean, you've been around Travis, Craig, plenty of times. You know how angry he gets for no reason. Like, now you give him a reason. Imagine how angry he gets. He was so angry, and he's like, "There's just no way. There's no way we can renew." But he will, because he loves the Padres. He loves the Padres. Like, it just sucks. But that's why I say you can't run this team back and expect people to be okay with that. The problem comes with the fact that we continue to sell out games, and we have players going, "If you guys were just a little louder." Like, you know what, dude? If you guys just won a few more games, if you could just hit above 220 for more than a week, we could all play that game if we want, but the fans will keep coming back, and they're not even all fans. It's like, that's the hard part, dude. There's no teaching this team a lesson.
Yeah. And also, until San Diego FC San Diego, whatever you want to say, starts playing, of the 5 major professional sports leagues in this country, they're still the only show in town, and they're capitalized on that market. And I mean, that's part of the reason why they pushed the button on this huge buy now mode in the first place, is that Chargers left, and it was like, fuck, all right, here we go, let's send it.
And it was smart. I mean, it was smart. It absolutely, it captured the market, and all of these things. That's where Preller wins in Seidler's book. Okay? Because Seidler's seeing all the money that comes back in. Grupner sees all the money that comes back in. And every winter that the Padres, quote unquote, win the winter and grow their, they've gone from literally a situation in 2014 where they probably averaged low 20,000s in attendance to now sellouts and a waiting list. And I know one of our patrons is like, this is why AJ Preller. I'm not saying this is why AJ Preller should keep his job. I'm saying this is probably why Peter Seidler thinks AJ Preller should keep his job. Because from a status standpoint, from a prestige standpoint, the Padres are the talk of the league all the time. Every deadline, every winter meeting, it's like, well, the Padres.
Well, yeah,
Padres
sure,
are in
but
on
by
everybody.
that metric, he would be on the exact opposite end of that right now. The Padres are the laughing stock of the league because of their brashness, because of
Still
their
sold out.
arrogance and
Like,
fire.
still,
But not tonight. That's going to change. Like, what do you think next year's Fan Fest is going to look like?
I mean, it could be dark, bro. I mean, I know, but that's kind of why I'm exploring this. Is like, I'm actually more scared now in terms of like all of the scenarios where AJ Preller comes back. How many of those does he not make some brash move to try and jumpstart 2024, to try and put the shock pads on the chest for 2024?
I think he's going to. I think for all the reasons that Dallas laid out, of like they kind of, again, it's like they kind of have to now to justify this, like, and it's like we're not and I mean, that's why I think all of us are saying he's got to go, is that like now we're not, just in the same way that watching the sport day to day kind of melts your brain, because it's not a sport that's actually supposed to be watched every day. It's supposed to be watched on a stat sheet looking backward, and it completely informs your opinions. Like the way that the baseball team that plays on the field is run is being, completely influenced by all the other factors. And that's why a purge is necessary, because we literally just need a pair of fresh eyes to come in and look at this situation honestly and without skin in the game, and just say, hey, like this, we were talking about Preller coming in and selling off Trey Turner and Max Fried. Those weren't his guys. You know what I mean? Like that's why he didn't value them, because he didn't pick them and it didn't reflect on him. And like, that's what I mean. We're like, we need someone to come in who's going to look at this as objectively as humanly possible. So if you're asking, like, are they going to make a brash move? Of course they are, if AJ Preller's, because he needs to like keep running the perpetual motion machine to somehow make this thing work. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Dallas, I know we got to let you go, mate.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. I have just so many podcast interviews to do just to promote this album. It's just insane. Or I have to walk my dog because he keeps clawing at the door. But one of those things is true. We'll find out.
That's fair. I want to remind everyone, I didn't start the fire and other lies. Don't just go buy the Billy Joel single. Like, that's we.
Or you can.
We, not I.
It's also a good song.
That's 2 Billy Joel references in 3 weeks. We have hit our quota.
Perfect. You can, of course, also hear Dallas on the Kept Faith. They record quarterly.
It's just hey, by the way, it's just like us guys, right? It's just your podcast and ours. I heard there's like new ones with little kids now doing them. Is that true?
Children's.
I think it's just us.
Duck teeth, so good.
Like Talking Friars or something is a podcast now. Or?
Yeah, no, we killed them all, man. We
I think it's
outlasted
just,
them all.
Yeah, you guys and us, we're still going. It feels nice to be sad still after all these years. You know what I mean?
It's familiar.
Still crazy.
Still sad after, that great Paul Simon song, Still Sad After all these years. Yeah.
You told him to change it. He got so pissed at you.
That's why he was so mad. That's why he got so angry. I say he's like 1,000 ways to fire your manager. It's a great. Oh my God. Anyway, yeah, please go buy the album. Please, I appreciate if you do. Apple Music, Bandcamp, a lot of streamers. It's awesome. It's fun. It's a good album. You like being sad and happy, you're a Padres fan, so go buy the album.
There's Dallas McLaughlin. We'll wrap things up right after this. Wrapping really quick, guys. There's 9 games left in this godforsaken homestand. I want to ask each of you one very simple question. What would it take to get Tim Capello back onto your bus? Like, what would it take for you to entertain the brassy sound of our beach-dwelling saxophonist to say, I still believe? 9 straight wins? 8-2? Is there anything that would allow you to believe?
Chris, do you want to go first?
It has to be that the Padres signed Trevor Bauer.
That's the biggest zag I've ever heard you take. And you've taken some zags, Chris.
Trevor Bauer, Luis Polonia, trade for Wander Franco. We've got ourselves a team. Where's Araldis?
That's where I put that, guys. That's where I think these 9 games. Why? I hope they're fun.
I'll be maybe a little bit more optimistic. My line has always been 500 with the Padres. I will start believing again if they can get back to 500. So at this rate, now that they've lost the opener, it would take them going 8-1 the rest of the homestand for them to get back to 500. And if they go 8-1, yeah, sure. Like,
I'm with you, Ray.
Then yeah, break out the saxophones. Until then, I have a new song for you guys for the 2023 Padres season. Okay? It is a similar 80s power song. And tell me if you remember this one. You know why I picked Phil Collins' Take Me Home? Because watching this team feels like I'm in a fucking mental institution, okay? Until they get back to 500, saxophones stay, straitjackets are on, okay? We're singing Take Me Home, baby, because I don't want to remember.
Oh, I love you so much. I think I've done that song at karaoke at least once.
It's a great song.
It's a great song. Thank you for supporting this show. As you can see, we're still trying to have fun. I mean, fuck. Go Padres.
Go Padres.